In a world of podcasts, one rises in the night to destroy them all. The elder god in an ocean of noise, the Cthulhu of the airwaves. This is Spoiler Country.
All right, robot lady. All right, everybody, welcome again to another episode of Spoiler Country. Today on the show, we have Joshua Wilson. He is here to promote his new book, Twilight Custard. He's done a little bit of everything, though, so I think we're going to get into the weeds on a bunch of different stuff. But right now, we're going to talk comics. Joshua Wilson, how the hell are you, man?
Casey, it is so good to meet you, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
Pleasure to meet you as well, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So, you have a book, Twilight Custard.
Correct.
Tell me about it. Let's get into the weeds, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been doing a lot of these podcasts, and something I'm not good at is selling myself, but I'm figuring out how to do it. It's not my favorite part for sure, but I do love coming on and talking because I always have a good time. But so this book, it's a graphic novel. It's about 136 pages. It is a sci-fi Western about an older cowboy guy who lost his wife about 2 years before the book starts. He comes across a spaceship crash, and he finds this android pilot, and he agrees to help the pilot get back to its ship. So a large part of the book is pretty much a buddy story between the two of them, getting to know each other and the differences, and talking about the universe and life and death and all that stuff.
That's cool. So what was the input? Where did this come from?
Oddly, it came from the title first. So the title I got from a band, one of those band name generators online. And then I liked it so much, and I just kind of pulled a story out of that. Nice.
Yeah. So you've been doing comics for a while. You have a lot of passions, though. You have a lot of things that you're into in terms of being creative. How do you keep that level of passion? And is it helpful to kind of bounce between the ones that you do? Because is that just a way to kind of keep from getting burnt out? Or
it's kind of a mixture. So some of it's been out of necessity. So my younger part of my life, I was a musician. I was a singer in rock bands and stuff. And so I did that for a long time, and bands kept breaking up. And after the last one, I was I think 25 years old. And I was like, man, I'm not going to start all over again, find all new people, write all new songs. It's I've got to find something that I have more control over just myself. And so then I got into screenplay writing. And so I did a lot of that, like writing movie scripts and things like that. And then slowly transitioned from that to turning those scripts into comic books, basically. So, and I jump back and forth. I still write some screenplays and stuff, but I've found that comic books for me is it's a really happy medium. I don't draw. I'm not the artist. I'm just the writer. So I still need to collaborate with people, but it is far less people than say a movie would be sure.
Yeah.
But even a band, you got to rely on 4 or 5 different people. And it's just it gets to be too much sometimes, but I found the comic books have been great. And also again, I've been able to turn this story itself was a movie script first that I was man, I'm never going to turn this into a movie. It would be an incredibly expensive movie to make, but I think it would be a really good graphic novel. And I think it translated pretty well to the page.
So, getting into that and translating it from, or, kind of changing it from a movie script, from a film script into what eventually became the comic. How did you go about that? Because the two mediums, I've written comics. I've never written for film. What is the difference? Other than obviously the medium that's going into, but
for sure. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, that is a large part of it. Cause when you're writing a script, you're writing a lot of what the character is doing and saying, and you're thinking of it in a way of moving pictures. So you're basically you take the script, you look at what's there, and you're okay, what still shots from these moving pictures do I need to have to have the story flow on the page, instead of, it's a lot easier when you have a camera, you see everything that happens, but in a comic book, you need those specific important cells or panels on the page, and you need the page to flow kind of like it would through a film. So it's just about finding visually what makes the most sense and what needs to be on the page to tell the story, and then just basically trim the fat of everything else out of it. So, if you compare a movie script and a film script, or excuse me, a movie script and a comic script, they're pretty similar. The only difference is on the comic script, you have to break down panel by panel exactly what you're seeing. You're telling the artist exactly what to draw, kind of like a film script is telling the director exactly what to shoot.
Do you find it harder to get those beats down when you translate it into sequential art form?
It was a learning curve for sure, but I've really enjoyed it. And I've since, I started before I did Twilight Custard. I tried a few, like I've got some shorter comics on our Gumroad page, on Ghost Pod Publishing Gumroad page. So I wrote those first before having to convert and just trying to figure out how to write in that way. And it's really satisfying to me because I my imagination is very visual, and so the medium works super well. And I used to start by kind of like myself plotting out the panels on the page and what they would look like on like a dry erase board. But then I've since learned to just describe it the best I can and leave it up to the artist to kind of plot them out on the page. So
I was actually going to ask, was it hard to relinquish that control? Because as a film director, you're the final say on everything. When you write a screenplay, like, your word is God,
right?
Until some jackass takes it and does something else with it. But if you direct the film, your word is sacrosanct. When you collaborate on a comic with someone, there's a little bit of control. You have to let go a little bit. Was that hard for you to do?
It's different for each project too, because if it's a true collaboration, then you're going to leave it up to the artist to interpret it as best you can. I mean, there's still some feedback back and forth, like, hey, I wasn't quite meaning this. Do you mind changing that? Or what do you think if we do it this way? But if it's for like Twilight Custard, for example, I'm commissioning, I'm paying the artist. So, if it comes back, I do have a lot more control in that way, because if I get the art back and it's not quite right, I'll ask them to fix it, because it's not as much of a collaboration as it is I'm paying them to do a job, basically. So,
yeah.
But luckily with Twilight Custard specifically, William Mulio, who's the artist on this book, he was so great at interpreting the words that I had on pages. Like, I had very, very few revisions once I got those pages back. I would get them back and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So that hasn't always been the case working with other artists. Sometimes you get them back and it's like completely different than what you were thinking. And then at that point you look at it and you say, well, does this still work, or is it just way off base? And then you kind of go from there.
His art, by the way, was fantastic. I really appreciated his art style for this. And yeah, I mean, it really played well with the content.
I thought so too, because it's very it's kind of old school. It's hand drawn, except for the text and stuff is done digitally, but it's all hand drawn, which is super rare these days, and it feels kind of older.
Oh yeah. It had a really good look to it, and it matched the story very well. So yeah, you wrote this story. You get it together. How did you go about actually finding your artist?
All the artists I've worked with so far, I've found on Reddit, actually. So
really,
it's been great. Reddit has been so awesome. I mean, I got to tell you, just from finding people to collaborate with, but also like promoting the book on there once it's been done, and getting people who are actually like, if you go to like the graphic comic or the graphic novel subreddit, the comic book subreddit, those people are there because they love comics. Yeah. And so I've found a great deal of support there and enthusiasm. So I love Reddit.
It's funny. So I've written 3 comics.
Oh, hell yeah.
I put out 3 comics last year, all, kickstarted and everything, but it was, they're mine. I'm proud of them.
That's amazing.
But I wouldn't have had the wherewithal, or, I wouldn't have met my collaborators if I wouldn't have met some folks off of our comic collabs. We started a group called the Comic Jam, and each week we do one-page comics based on a theme. I pair the writers with the artists.
That's amazing.
And that's how I met Pete Woods, pulled my earplugs out. The artist from that the Voodoo Child comic that I did, and also is how I met Dan Price, which is the artist for another book I did called Bigfoot Knows Karate, which it's super, it's weird, crazy, fun. It's a punch 'em up, but there's a lot more to it. But yeah, just meeting people. I would have never thought I would have the ability to write comics or be in, this sphere when I was a kid, because it was always like New York and LA.
Yeah.
And
it's so easy to collaborate now,
Exactly. Yeah. So thanks, internet.
Yeah. It's been amazing. I mean, I got into comics. I've been doing comics specifically for like 2.5 years now, 2 years. Pretty much started with COVID, because right before COVID started,
around the house a lot more.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, seriously, like right before COVID started, I released a short film, and then COVID
I saw it. It was good. The Fear of Flying.
Man. I appreciate that. Wow, thanks for watching it.
Yeah, it was very good. I really appreciated how you built that little world, and it was really fun.
I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate that, man. I feel like not a lot of people saw it, because again, it happened right before the pandemic, and then it played at one virtual festival, and then that's pretty much, and that's pretty much it. And so like when COVID came, I was just like, I've got to figure out a way to keep doing this, and so collaborating with artists over the internet is the way to do it, man. And comics is the way to do it.
Do you think that your ability to collaborate with other creatives has kind of been informed by your time spent doing music? Which I listened to that a little bit as well. And
wow, man,
I enjoyed it, man. I tried to do my homework.
That's amazing.
Try to do my homework. I enjoyed it. It's
been a while now. So
trying to think of who it made me think of. It wasn't like derivative or anything, but it had a feel to it. It was what I heard was really chill. And God, I can't think of his name. He plays the banjo and he's very indie.
I don't know if I would know him.
Yeah. It was solid work. So what was your inspiration behind all that, behind the music stuff?
Music started when I was probably 14 or 15, just starting bands when I lived in Ohio. And then as soon as we all graduated high school, we moved to Orlando, Florida. And so most of the music I've done,
go there?
I had some friends in music school there, and we just wanted to be away from where we grew up,
Where'd you grow up?
It's a place called Ottawa. It's like Northwest Ohio, like the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
Super small. So yeah, we went Orlando for a lot of it, and then Nashville for the other half of my quote unquote music career. and that's where it kind of died.
Yeah. So my sis lives in Columbus. So
okay, yeah, it's probably about 2 hours south where I'm from.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it? I was reading something recently about how there's been like so many astronauts from the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
It's all based on their desire to get as far away from Ohio as possible.
I love it.
So, but
it's a big deal there. They got that to the Neil Armstrong Museum and stuff. So it's a big deal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I would love to go there, man. Stuff like that fascinates me. The Right Stuff. I don't know if you've ever read that book, but
no,
it's a door stopper, but it's good. It's massive. So yeah, you noodle around with music for a little while. You end up in Nashville. Man, you've bounced around all over the place. Now you're in Colorado.
Yep.
How'd you end up in Colorado?
Man, this is not an exciting story, but my wife has no, you're good. My wife has a family out here, and we just got married this year, and so we're going to start.
Congratulations, man!
Thank you. We're going to start to try to have a family, and so we want to be closer to family, but not. She's from Wisconsin. I'm from Ohio. We don't necessarily want to live there, so this is kind of the next best thing to be around family, and so we're excited about that.
Hey, how's it going? Long time no see,
dude. I got into crypto.
Did you? That's an exciting Wild West little front there.
Well, it's cool because I can take a little bit of money and have fun with some what they call altcoins. I don't know if you knew, but anything away from Bitcoin is considered an altcoin.
Hey, I have Shiba Inu coins. I bought a million.
I have Shiba Inu coins, but I bought Shiba Inu when it was low.
So did I. I bought a million of them for like $16.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, my buddy, he got me into it. He bought like 30 million of them when they were that low. So
yeah. I bought them even lower, but that's okay. And then I got into another one, which I like, is called Zombie Inu. And I don't know if you've seen this, but it's a bunch of Amazon execs and Microsoft execs. And I think there's a Google executive on there too. Might be wrong. Don't hold me to that one.
I'll hold you to it.
They got together and made this Zombie Inu coin. It's Zinu, Z-I-N-U, if you're interested in checking it out. You can't go to like a normal exchange and buy it. You have to buy it like through Pancake Swap or some other places.
So many wallets out there exchanges.
Yeah. But the cool thing is I actually made a little coin on this.
Nice.
And I don't know, man. I want to be bearish and pull some cash out so I can do some things.
Yeah.
Worry about my taxes though.
Well, dude, there's a lot of taxes coming down for cryptocurrency, and Bear Tax does all that stuff for you.
Bear tax?
Yeah, Bear.tax. They calculate the tax on cryptocurrency exchanges. They show you your profit loss, your gains, and help you file your taxes for all your crypto sales throughout the year.
Yeah, that's important because all those regulations coming down that the Biden administration is toying with and implementing. Man, I don't want to get screwed on my taxes and then like not pay enough or pay too much.
No, it's you never know. So if you go to Bear.tax, you can sign up, and some wallet exchange are going to have Bear Tax integrated into them naturally. But right now, you can go to Bear.tax, sign up, and upload your transactions through CSV or use an API to connect to your favorite exchange or wallet, pull them all in there, and
that's
calculate your profit loss. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So they can connect right into my crypto wallet.
Yeah, and certain ones, more are being added all the time.
That's amazing. So they're taking the anxiety and guesswork out. I like that.
Pretty much, and then you can use it in April to file your taxes. It'll help you fill out the form for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to Bear.tax and check it out.
Sounds good.
So we live about a mile away from my in-laws.
Okay, that's probably nice babysitting and stuff if you need that.
I was really reticent to want to buy this house to begin with because it was, just proximity. It was so close. And now it's like, if we need to get out, in-laws are there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super helpful, especially if you have small kids. So yeah, good luck with that, man. My wife and I will be 20 years this year.
Wow. Good
which
job.
Is nuts.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So good luck. And
you don't look old enough to be married 20 years.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I was 14. I'm joking. But yeah, man, marriage is cool, man.
Yeah, it's been great so far. We've been together for like 7 years, so it's nothing new,
Oh,
it's
cool,
just,
cool.
Decided to seal the deal,
Yeah. It's one of those things you got to secure before somebody else gets in your way. Right.
Exactly.
So this is, one of a few comics that you've done. Do you have any more plans to go back to the world of Twilight Custard?
I'm excited to do, there's a lot of other stories that I have in mind. I do have ideas for a second and third book, just like very, very broad ideas if it were to come to that. But I've got some other novels I want to do first. So we'll see what happens with this guy. I really would love, in a dream, I would love for this to become a movie one day, and then we could definitely do a second and third. But we'll see.
I can totally see it. I
would love. Yeah, it was started as a movie script, so I would still really love to see that on like Netflix or something. I think that'd be awesome.
I hear you. So what? I always want to ask, like, what was your comics inspiration like when you were a kid? Were you into comics?
Yeah, when I was really young, I was more into the comic book character cartoons that were out. Like, I was a huge fan of the 90s Spider-Man and the X-Men and the Batman. Like, I loved those shows. So those were my first, like, introduction to those characters, and then the movies that came after that. And so, but yeah, I've always been a huge Spider-Man is my absolute favorite. And then X-Men probably second after that. And Fantastic Four, I've always been a big Marvel guy. And then as I've gotten older, I've grown to love graphic novels and like trades but more because for me it's like I've tried a few times to like follow, for example, The Amazing Spider-Man or something like that.
It's hard to go monthly.
It's so hard, man. Yeah, it's hard to keep up, and you miss one. It's like so I usually just wait for the trade to come out. And so as I get older, graphic novels are my jam. Like, I love Image is probably one of my favorite companies now. Like, I love the Chew series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorites, and I love Jeff Lemire also is one of my favorites too with the Essex County and Underwater Welder. So
he's solid.
Yeah, so I've gotten more of like into like the character driven sort of like introspective stuff and like really hard into sci-fi more than superhero stuff as I've gotten older, but it definitely started with superhero stuff for sure.
Oh yeah. So what is you have a few other stories to tell. What's the end game, man? Like, are you wanting to stay in comics, or are you wanting to kind of just expand and do other things?
Yeah, I mean, a mixture for sure. I definitely want to keep doing comics for the foreseeable future because I really love the process. I'd love to eventually get to a space where all I have to do is write, and then someone else can do everything else. Because the hard part is when you have the book in your hand, you're like, man, that was so much work. Now's where the real work starts of promoting and finding all that stuff. I would love to find a publisher or something that will take a chance on me and fund my next project and like do all that stuff after I've written it. So, my end game, honestly, my entire life, whether it's been music, film, comics, is just like trying to eventually one day make a living off of my creativity and my writing. So I'm open to whatever avenue that takes. I love film and I love comics. And so if I could, I would do both at the same time, write stories. And if it fits better for a movie script, that's one thing. And if it fits better for a book, let's make it a book.
I hear you. I like that you have the ability to kind of take it wherever you want.
For sure. Yeah. And I've definitely, you said kickstarting and crowdfunding and stuff. I did not do that for this one, but this next novel that I have in mind, I really want to try my hand at that. I guess I was afraid for this first book that I wouldn't be able to, no one knows who I am. So why are they going to fund my stuff? So, but I have found that a lot of people are hungry for it. They're on these websites. They're looking for projects to fund that look cool. So it's all about the presentation. So I'm definitely going to give that a shot for this next book.
That is, as somebody like, I did this, I did 2 others. It's like a full-time job almost for that month that you're on the Kickstarter, and you have to put yourself out there, and it sucks, man. It's so, it's not fun. Yeah. And I love interviewing people. I try to make it as easy as possible because I've been on the other side of it, and it can be hard taking this on your own and self-funding it. That is another thing entirely. And I have nothing but respect for that. That's kind of scary.
It is, for sure, man. I just always figured that, I need to have something to show for myself. Like why would any publisher or even comic reader, take my word for it that I am a good writer or have interesting stories? So I just figured I believe in this story. I'll make this book myself. I'll try to get as many people as I can to read it. And then hopefully they'll be like, oh yeah, I like this guy.
Do you have any plans to get out at cons now that hopefully COVID?
Yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, so I'm doing 2 this year. I'm going to do the one here in Denver, and then I'm doing one in Salt Lake City in September. I think the Denver one's in July. I wanted to kind of start out slow, and then I really want to do more the following year. Like I've got to get to Texas since this book is based in Texas. I want to I want to do one in Austin for sure, and I'd love to do like New York would be incredible as well. So
yeah. One of my collaborators on my co-writer on Bigfoot Knows Karate is out of Austin, and
that's awesome.
They have a really strong indie community there. People are hungry for indie comics and just pretty much comics in general.
That's good to know. I need to figure out how to plug myself into that community. Maybe I have to just go down there and visit. I've had a lot more luck because I've got this book in a couple of stores, but it's always been walking in the door and talking to them. When I send out all these mass emails to the different stores, you don't usually get a response. They're probably just like, yeah. Yeah. How have you gone about selling your?
We sold out for Bigfoot Knows Karate. We sold completely funded in 7 minutes for and
incredible.
We had a low margin at first, but still we were kind of biting our fingers. Yeah. And what you kind of have to do is you make it a party. You make it something that people want to take part in. One thing that artist and co-writer was a genius at was he would do live draws on Instagram. Yeah. And I would get on there with him. We'd talk about the book. We'd talk to other creators. And before too long, you have like 20 eyes watching you while you're doing your thing. You can see the people that are watching you on the feed. Well, that's 20 people that might want to fund your book. And, it just keeps building, and you make it something that people want to be a part of. Going on to live streams has been extremely helpful for us. And unfortunately, Spoiler Country doesn't have time to do live streams right now.
Right.
I'm running around like crazy trying to help my daughters out, get them fed.
Sure, of course.
I bathed one of them right before I came down. I had to change shirts because I had like a wet shirt. But yeah, you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta keep people interested in the book, and it's so stomach churning doing that. and saying like, "Hey, look at me," when really I don't want you to fucking look at me. I want you to go away.
I know. I feel like I'm bothering people,
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to be an imposition, but like really, you gotta fucking sell that book, dude.
Yeah, you're right. I always feel that artists have it a little bit easier when it comes to that kind of stuff because they can just draw all day. Yeah, all day long. Like, here's a picture I drew, but me, it's just like, hey, do you want to look at these words?
Yeah, like I immediately like blank out and go into like, how can I make people laugh? And that's not, I don't know if that's productive.
I think laughter helps for sure. I'm sure.
So yeah, man. Like when you crowdfund, you got to get yourself out there and you live draws and getting people hooked on Instagram is a great way to do that. The indie comic community on Instagram is great. Definitely check that out.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on, building up those followings and those numbers by doing things like this too, and reaching out and stuff too. So again, I really appreciate you allowing me to be on the show and
no problem, man.
Introduce me to the community a little bit more too.
Yeah, and man, one thing I need to tap into is the Reddit community, because as much as I owe what I've been doing lately to Reddit, just through the contacts I've made, I Reddit as a whole kind of scares me.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, so
a little bit of the Wild West.
What was your experience with that? Getting eyes on it through there?
Honestly, it was just one post that I put on the graphic novels page of the book and the cover, and my excitement of having all my books there as they showed up on my door. And I don't know what good numbers are when it comes to selling comics and graphic novels and stuff, but my goal was to sell 100 in the first month, which I've done, and half of those came from that Reddit post, honestly. So about half were friends and family, and then half of those came from that one Reddit post. So I was super lucky to have had that help. Yeah. So having done 2 issues of the same comic, my initial reaction was like, okay, second issue is going to kind of peter off, because some of those friends and family that are buying the comic are going to be like, oh, okay, like I did it last time, who cares? But if you keep that pressure up, there're going to be people that come back. Yeah, and you're going to reach new people. And reaching new people, that's the secret. You can't rely on the friends and family. You've got to find people who are actually there for what you're selling.
Yeah, and lately I haven't really put it out there much like aunts and uncles and stuff. Because I know that like they don't care.
They're not comic fans, really. They're just
exactly but the people that bought it first time that didn't know me from Adam, they came back. That's awesome, and that's such a gratifying feeling. And you're gonna get that too. I sure hope so. You're gonna feel like king shit when that happens, because it is rad.
That's amazing. Are you selling them primarily online and then shipping them out that way, or in stores?
So we have a few I think we have 2 or 3 comic shops in Texas that sell them. I need to take some issues to my local comic shop. I work so much that I rarely get a chance to go. And we live kind of outside of the city, like a good 45 minutes away. So my goal is to go by on a Saturday and drop some off. Yeah. And the nearest comic shop, which is about 30 minutes away.
It's a little bit of a drive, but I have definitely found, I've got mine in 3 here in Denver. And then I happen to be on our honeymoon in California, and I got one in LA there, and then
nice.
One in Chicago. But it's all been walking in the door, and they're always usually pretty helpful and want to help indie artists. And it's a lot, I think, more difficult to say no to your face than to delete an email.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've done a few. We have an online store, and we've actually done a lot more online sales than I had anticipated.
That's awesome.
And it's pretty rad going to the post office with like a stack of books.
I love it. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's a pretty good feeling. So Twilight Custard, man, tell us how you can order this book.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to do it is just by going to twilightcustard.com. That goes right to me. I box it up and ship it right out to you. I try to do it within 3 days that I get the order. So pretty quick turnaround time. If you happen to be in Denver, it's at Mutiny Comics, Mile High Comics, and All Seas Comics. And if you're in Santa Monica, California, it's in Heidi Ho Comics. And in Chicago, it's in Chicago Comics. So, but yeah, the website's the best way to do it. There's also, you can get it digitally through Amazon. You want to hold the physical copy in your hand. You if you can, it's nice on an iPad too, but if you got the physical book on your bookshelf, I think that's a lot better.
There is the tactile feel of a comic that you can kind of curl up and read on the couch, and it's a good feeling, man.
Yeah, and it helps the creator a lot more too. Generally, I think if you're buying those physical copies, if you like indie comics and you want to support indie comic makers, then I think buying that physical copy is the way to do it.
Oh yeah. So go to Twilight Custard comic.
Just twilightcustard.com.
Twilightcustard.com.
Yeah.
Get that book.
Pretty
and
please.
Do you have any hints about what your next project might entail?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it. What's the worst that could happen? No, it's I'm trying to think of a way to describe it because I'm still kind of churning the story over in my head and figuring out exactly how it's going to unfold. But it's essentially about this scientist who accidentally stumbles upon another dimension, an alternate reality, kind of a tear in the space-time fabric for just like a split second, and he basically falls in love with a figure on the other side of it before it closes up. And so he's trying so hard to get back to that point, doing everything he can, even to the point of bringing the world close to an end because of his scientific experiments. And obviously I won't tell you what ends up happening, but I will tell you one of the side effects of his experiments kind of forever makes tears in the fabric of space and time. And he accidentally invents ghosts, which is essentially people seeing into this other dimension. And so the comic is called The Invention of Ghosts.
Oh, that's rad. I like
basically a sad boy love story.
Hey man, there's something to be said for us sad boys out there.
Yeah,
it's good stuff, man.
The stories of those.
My Spotify has me pegged as a sad boy, I'm pretty sure.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, twilightcustard.com. You guys go get that book. Tell us about your favorite local, by the way. Like, we want to keep these places open.
Yeah, my favorite in Denver is definitely Mutiny Comics. It's an awesome place. It's like a mixture of books, comics. They've got pinball machines. It's a coffee shop. They do stand-up comedy in the back. It's like a really awesome place. So definitely, if you're ever in the Denver area, Mutiny is the way to go. It's amazing. The guy there too, the guy who runs the comic portion of it, he goes by Professor, and he's just a super awesome, supportive guy to indie comic creators.
Our local is they deal a lot with indies. It's a comic shop / tattoo parlor.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it's rad. So you'll be looking at your, the newest issue of whatever, and you'll just hear in the background. So
that's kind of the nature of the business. It's difficult to sustain on comic books alone with like a brick and mortar store.
Oh yeah, you get you kind of have to find your own little niche. And what's the name of the Mayhem Comics?
Mutiny.
Mutiny Comics. It sounds like they kind of found their thing to make them stand out from the rest, and that's awesome.
Yeah, they made it like a cool place to hang out, which is important.
Oh yeah. Nerds need to find each other.
Yeah, I need a place to nerd.
Exactly. You got to get outside the house eventually. So, man, I'm super excited for Twilight Custard. Thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we?
No, I mean, obviously picking up the book would be amazing. You can definitely check out my Instagram, which is just Josh Wilson Creates. So you can find out kind of what I'm getting into. I just started my own podcast actually with a friend called Do We Dream of Electric People, and it's about robots and androids in movies and TV and stuff like that too. So
rad.
All kinds of stuff on my Instagram and Twitter. So follow me and see if you like what I'm doing.
Awesome. And as an aside, something else that you've done, check out Fear of Flying. It's a short film that you have on YouTube's. Isn't it Fear of Flying? Did I say that right? Did you freeze? Oh Lord.
Oops.
You there?
Froze on me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze up for a second there.
Rural internet, man. So Fear of Flying, your short film.
Yes, absolutely. Check that out too on YouTube. And thank you, Casey, so much for, one, having me on, but two, like checking out all my stuff. That really means a lot to me. And you've been definitely the most thorough to go through all that stuff, even the older music. So, I mean, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Dude, it was my pleasure. I enjoyed it. And I'm stoked for you. Twilight Custard. You guys go out there and get it. Man, you have a good one. All right.
Thank you. You too. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. I'll be seeing more from you next time you have a project you want to talk about. By all means, come on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you.
All right, take it easy, brother.
Bye-bye.
Spaghetti. And we're back.
That's right. We are back. Back in the saddle again. Well, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as much as we did making it for you. And if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you got to go check out spoilerverse.com, because at spoilerverse.com, we have a plethora, amazing directors and artists of all walks of life, and editors and writers, and oh my God, are you a lover of comic books like we are? Then there's so many amazing people from the comic book world over at spoilerverse.com, and I highly implore you to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can check out all the other podcasts on our network, like Bridges and Geekdoms and Funny Book Forensics and Haphazard Adventures and Nerds from the Crypt and so many more.
Misery
We put out
Point Radio.
episodes all the time. Go check all of them out, and check out all of the reviews and previews and articles we have going up every single day for you, every day on spoilerverse.com for you to check out and to read and to love and to like and to comment. We have a store link. You want to help support the site? You can do it two ways. One, go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/spoilercountry, or go to our store link in the middle of the site there and get a t-shirt, a face mask, a hoodie, something, look fly as hell, and help support the site when you do that, because we get $1 or $2. And, maybe you want to talk to us. If you do, you can do it obviously on all the socials, but if you go to scpod.us/discord, you can join our public Discord server and come chat with us all day long.
I couldn't say it better myself, dude.
There you go.
You just mouthed out a ton of information at once, and really, I hope you guys enjoy what you're hearing, because we're working our butts off to bring it to you.
We are.
I guess there's only one left thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. There's only one left thing left to do.
What's that?
In oceans of podcasts, we are Cthulhu. As Cthulhu compels you to
Open the mind
and read more.
Spaghetti.
Do you listen to podcasts that sound like this? Hey, welcome back to the Super OK Podcast, where our audio sounds mediocre.
Or do you prefer podcasts that sound more like this? Crisp, clear, fun, easy to listen to, and full of awesomeness? Well, you should check out Spoiler Country, hosted exclusively over at spoilerverse.com.